Welcome to Woke Up. Parents, I don't care what parents you are, you need to know about this book. This book is all the rage and is getting popular and more popular every day. This is a dangerous book. Let's just say this is a dangerous book. And I'm going to tell you exactly why it's a dangerous book. It's a pretty book. Man, it's really pretty. Gorgeous illustrations. Very well written. Man, if I was a kid, I would love to read this book, man. It is amazing. It's got great exercises in it. This is a drug for social justice right here. This is crack. This is crack for social justice and indoctrination into racism is everywhere. Everywhere. It's in my house right now. It's right around the corner. It's in my gallery. It's everywhere. As the author puts it. Let me tell you how she puts it real quick here. Racism is a smog we breathe. It is all around. Racism is everywhere. Let me tell you about this author. This author, her name is Tiffany Jewell. She is 14 years old. I barely knew how to wipe my butt at 14 years old, much less write a book that people should be thinking is the Bible. This is her. This is Tiffany Jewell. And let me read her bio to you. She is a black biracial writer. I don't know how you're black and biracial at the same time. Maybe I'm just clueless, but I don't know what this. She's anti-racist. So you know what anti-racist are? There are three categories on the spectrum of whether you're a racist. And that is determined by Jason Reynolds and Ibram X. Kendi, who wrote this great book that declared Martin Luther King and Abraham Lincoln and George Washington Carver what they call assimilationists, and they're cowards. The men who died, two of them got shot, and they're cowards. And these self-righteous live in a vacuum, not her. These self-righteous, Jason Reynolds. So an anti-racist is the end-all, be-all. Those are the ones who truly love. People like the Black Panthers, who killed a bunch of people brutally, are the ones who truly love. So I'm not too hip on this anti-racist classification. So anyway, she's a biracial writer, educator, and consultant. She spends her time baking bread. I like baking bread. Building Legos. That's fun. Watching British detective shows. She does a lot. And dreaming up how she can dismantle white supremacy. Okay, well let's go into that idea of dismantling white supremacy. Because I want to point to a part in her book right here. People might brush by this. I did not. If you look right here, you will see where I highlight. I don't know if you can read it. But it says, this talk about stuff. You're supposed to make a checklist of who you are. And she says, I'm a twin, light-skinned, biracial, a first-generation American, freckled, my own person, black, a whole person, proud of my family history, in love with my extra melanin. So melanin, so you know what that is? That is, blacks have more melanin in them. So she's basically saying she is in love with being black. If I said I was in love with being white, I would be determined be called a white supremacist. There's no doubt. I am not in love with being white. I'm sure as hell not ashamed of it. I'm not embarrassed of it. But I'm not in love with it. I'm in love with being a human. That's what I'm in love with. I'm in love with everything that comes along with human. What we all do. I breathe, you breathe. I eat, you eat. I sleep, you sleep. I love, you love. I hate, you hate. I make mistakes, you make mistakes. Those sort of things. I screw up, you screw up. I am human, you are human. That's what I ground myself in, my humanity. I like that about me. I don't ground myself in the color of the skin, the people I date, the religion I follow. I ground myself in the humanity that I share with everybody else. This book does not do that. So let's get back to the book. And I'm going to give Tiffany Jewell, the 14-year-old, a little advice. You want to end white supremacy? Do something like Daryl Davis did, a guy I had on my radio show. Go and actually talk to people that are ignorant and misinformed and uneducated, and understand their side, and wrap your arms and your mind around them and show them through your own example what the reality is. That's how you get rid of racism and white supremacy. That's how Daryl Davis did it. He convinced over 200 KK members to voluntarily leave the Klan by wrapping his arms around him and show them they were wrong about who blacks were, because who he was. He was a black guy. That's how he did it. He used music. You don't do it by writing a book like this, who makes us enemies of each other and probably creates more white supremacy. Let's get back to the book, okay? So I want to get back to this thing in this book that I want to talk about. In this book, I am the enemy. I have a crosshair on my chest in her mind. Because I am white, like I said, I am cisgender, which means I'm attracted to the opposite sex, and I am Christian, I'm a male. I am the oppressor. What did she call me? What was the word I was termed as? I am the dominant culture, and she is I oppress her. Just by my sheer color of my skin, and those, not by the actions that I do, but the colors that I am. I believe in character over color of the skin. I think that's what matters. I fit in a box. I'm in this box, and she's outside this box. Anybody's in that box. I'm trusting you. I'm anything but in a box. But I'm in the box, so this is what she said. If you do not fit into this box, you are considered to be a part of what's called the subordinate culture. She's in the subordinate culture. Folk. F-O-L-X. Not F-O-L-K-S. Folk. But F-O-L-X. Not like, how you doing, folks? Or that's all, folks. But F-O-L-X. So let me tell you what folk is. Folk included in the subordinate culture include black, brown, indigenous people of color of the global majority. Now, I know what the global majority is. What it's saying is why whites and brown skin represent the minority here. In the globe, they are the majority. I don't know what the intent behind that is, but there are more black and brown people in the world than there are white people. Duh. Eventually, there will not be any white people because we interracial marry each other now and get together and just know each other as humans. So that's a duh to me, okay? Okay, also because the color of the global majority, the people are queer, transgender, and non-binary folk, and cisgender women, youth, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, atheist, and non-Christian folk. Neurodiverse folk. Folk living with disabilities, those living in poverty, and more. Those are all the folk people, but I'm not in the folk category. So the folk people is who you rely on and who you bond with, and you don't, that's who you that's your tribe. That's who you hang out with. Those other people, nothing to do with them, it seems like to me. I don't know that for sure. So I'm not kind of down with that. It seems kind of divisive in a way to kind of separate us and help us get along. I'm kind of about this humanity idea, humanism. So that is kind of the idea of this book. And then she talks about the idea of white privilege. And I am the privileges. I am 100% white privilege. And another thing I want to get into about her is this book is not just a book about attacking whites and white culture. It's about a workbook to make you become a social justice warrior, and you are not. You need to be one right now, because you need to stand up, because racism is all around you. And you do it any way you can, because that's what she does. She's rude. She speaks out. She's opinionated. She doesn't care what any people think. You know, like when people in the summer would go and scream in their face at Black Lives Matters marches in people's face. You wonder where kids got that idea, that they can just be rude and scream their opinion in people's face. It's because a book just like this. Because no matter how you do it, racism is all around you, and be rude if you have to get your message out there. And it is everywhere. Microaggressions, prejudice, all here. Parents, you need to read this book. It's dangerous, man. It is a dangerous book. I think for any parent. Let me move my makeshift tripod in here on wheels a little bit. The indoctrination and push to social justice and make everybody a warrior of social justice is overt and overwhelming, if not the nation, in my town. 100%. I've lived here 5 years, and I've watched it from grammar school, from kindergarten to grammar school to middle school. It starts out with just telling kids to put Black Lives Matter and stop the wall. They don't even know what they're drawing on a sheet of paper. And they don't talk about it any time. But they start putting it on and put it in their head. You know, stop the wall. All this political. Get on and join the social justice where everybody's against you. Must fight, must join a tribe and grab a tribal spear and attack. But meanwhile, on the playground of those kindergartners and those grammar school kids, you're not talking about that. You know why I know that? Because I had a kid there. And I was one of the few parents that stayed on the playground and played with my kids on the jungle gym, the monkey bars, all those things. My body paid the price for it. But I listened to kids. They didn't talk about that stuff. They didn't see color. They didn't see gender. They didn't see any of that. They just saw playmate. Hey, you want to play? But in grammar school, they want you to see that immediately. Kindergarten, to see that that's a white person. He's evil. That's whoever. That's this person. That's person. We got to categorize people by their genders, their race, their religion, their culture, everything. From the minute they're kindergartners, we need to start seeing that. We need to focus on it. No, we don't need to do that. We need to see people as humans. And treat each other as equals. And then when my kids moved on, my daughter actually went to she actually goes to a very special school. She's dyslexic, severely dyslexic. She goes to school for reading, very small school. Very different experience. She's basically focused on reading all day. They luckily don't get any of that. But my daughter in my other school, man, she went to another school, Montessori school for grammar school. And, you know, same thing. They were doing paper mache things with Martin Luther King and everything about reports about social justice and everything. And I actually got in front of their teacher and said, does every book you give my daughter have to be about grooming her as a social justice warrior? And I fought them on that. I fought them all the time. I said, try this book. Try this book. They wouldn't do it. But I tried. I kept pushing. I was probably one of the only parents that's doing it. And I am sure most of the parents, most of the teachers in that school did not like me because I was in their face. I was immersed in my kids' education. And then my daughter went to middle school. Montessori school. She's there now. She's in 8th grade. And they are the same way. Indoctrination and raise social justice warriors. But she has a really good teacher. Really good teacher. He puts books in front. He probably, I'm getting on him, he constantly is putting in too much of this stuff. But he listens to me, and we have some serious talks. He takes my advice, and he changes the lesson plan. Amazingly, he does for me. And when she brought home this book, and I saw it directly after reading the book, stamped by Jason Reynolds, I said, you know what? This is basically the same idea in a different form. I don't think I'll read my daughter reading this, and I want her out of class when they're discussing it. See, that's fine. He said, we're only going to do parts of the book. And I said, okay. I said, I'll take him. I'll read it. I'll check it out. I'll read the book, and I'll get back to you. So I read it this weekend. My daughter will not be reading this book in her class, and she will be out of the room reading the books that she likes to read, like mythology and mystery and all these things, not these things about racism is everywhere and the white man is evil. Not going to read that. Honestly, man, I got more black friends in this town than most white people I know. I grew up in the South, man. I grew up with racism all around me. I got black eyes and bloody lips standing up for my black friends because that was serious racism all around me. And I would gladly stood up for it. And I still have those friends today, and I have many more today. And I will gladly stand up for this bullshit coming from the other way too. Because it is bullshit. It's not going to help our nation at all. So we had this discussion, and I've decided I'm going to read this book with her, and we'll talk about it. But she will not be reading this book. I can't say if your kids should read this book or not, but there's no doubt you should read this book before them. Because it has... Reverse racism is not real. People are bringing it up to you time to time. You can remind them that personal prejudice indeed will have our institutions continue to misuse power to maintain a racist foundation against black, brown, and indigenous folk. There's the F-O-L-K. It's throughout this book. Therefore, the only people who benefit from them are white people. Contrary to the dictionary definition, racism is more than just the personal prejudice part of the equation. This book is all about this man. This woman is dangerous. This little girl is dangerous. She's 15 years old. I'm 55. I've lived a lot of places in this nation, 8 different states. Lived in ghettos in New Orleans, lived in middle-class suburbs, lived in gated communities, lived in great places all over. And to me, the divider is money. That's the oppressor, money. That who has all the power. You can see in Washington today, man. It's about the most powerful, everything. Bezos, all these people have the power. That's what it's about. Well, she's 15. She'll figure out some different things. In a racist society, not to be a non-racist, we must be anti-racist. Call out. Call out no matter whose it is. If you're being rude or whatever. Doesn't matter. Just a whole book and notebooks on how you can do it and lessons from the time you're a kindergartner, how you can be that social justice warrior. The indoctrination and rise to turn children into social justice warrior is real in my town. I can't say if it's real in your town, but I will tell you, I will be March 8th in front of the Mecca of indoctrination and social justice movement, Smith College. It's been in the news lately. They actually fired 2 white people wrongly before they even got the information. This idea of guilty until proven innocent lives at Smith College. If you're white, you're immediately guilty. It is clear. A woman quit her job because she got tired of the white prejudice towards her. The white privilege thrown at her. Name is Jody Shaw. Be happy to look her up on the internet. She's doing some great things on the internet. She's not quite as blunt as me. I'm a little more blunt, which gets me in trouble. That's who I am. I'm a fighter. I fight with love. I don't back down. And I will not be backing down to Smith. That school is blocks from my house. And I will fight what they were doing there. I will have a sign I'm getting made. It says, educate, don't indoctrinate. It's a dangerous thing for me to do. 100%. Other people know I'm doing it, and they are likely to do it. They're not going to go out there scared. They don't put themselves online. Like I told you, I don't care. I don't care about social media. I'm in the South. I told you, black eyes, bloody lips, all that stuff. I mean, but this, I gotta admit, I'm a little scared. I'm a little scared that something might happen to me. But I gotta stand up. The same way Martin Luther King had to stand up with his marches in towns where he wasn't supposed to be. The same way that Ruby Bridges went to all white schools and sat down amongst them as a black woman to stand out that we don't need to segregate people. And this in a way is kind of a segregation idea in the other way. There's a woman, when I went and saw Ruby Bridges speak, and she asked questions. She goes, I go to here, and this was at Smith School, by the way. Ruby Bridges came. If you don't know who she is, she's an amazing woman, and I guarantee you she don't like what's going on. She was the first black woman to be put into white schools. She was escorted in by the National Guard. She had this great speech, all these people, and this black girl got up and she goes, all high and mighty, she goes, I just really want a place as blacks we can sit and commune and sit together. And Ruby Bridges said, I know you think what I'm going to say, but I'm not going to say what you say. I spent my whole life fighting against trying not to segregate people. And there you go, want to segregate people and being black. So no, I'm not for what you're doing. And the black girl just sitting down astonished. She stood up. Martin Luther King stood up. Lots of people stood up. Rosa Parks on that bus, she didn't sit down. She didn't sit down. So I think it's time for me to stand up. Even if I'm by myself on that street corner. Actually, I'll be right in the front of Smith College where all the kids come in. I'm going to hold my sign. Educate. Don't indoctrinate. It's going to come. The hellfire is going to come at me like never before. I am ready for it. But somebody has got to say something to the indoctrination of this kid. And most people are scared. They wrote me the emails, the things that I can't believe you're doing. I can't do it. I can't do it with you. Maybe somebody will come and join me. Maybe not. I'll still be there. I may get hurt. I may be in the hospital. But I got to do it for my kids. I got to do it for their colleges. I got to do it for kids in college coming up. I got to do it for all the kids in this city, in the state, in the nation of trying to divide us more than unite us. In this push to indoctrinate and create a social justice warrior from kindergarten up. Needs to stop. We need to humanize people. So I will be there. March 8th, 12 o'clock with my sign. I'm printing 10 of them. If you want to join me, I welcome you to join me. But I will be there. I have a gallery called One Love in Northampton where I get every kind of person. I get Republicans. I get Democrats. I get independents. I get Green Party people. I get anarchists. I get socialists. I get everybody. I get drug addicts. I get homeless people. I get felons. Every kind of people. And I just welcome in and try to understand their humanity. This isn't about humanity. This is about dividing and demonizing. Like I showed you before, this quote. In love with my extra melanin. I'm not in love with my minimum melanin. I'm in love with humanity. That's what we need to be in love with humanity. That's how we bring this nation and this world together. Humanize. It's that simple. All right, y'all. Hope you join me March 8th. I'll be there for your kids, my kids, the nation, and the world. This indoctrination on college campuses and in our high schools and even our grammar schools and kindergarten has to stop, and this is my first step. All right. Have a good day. And like I said, make sure you read this book before your kids do, no matter who you are. Take care, y'all. One love.